Start with the first project that I kind of want to get done. Last season we made a heat shield for the alternator, and it honestly helped a lot. Obviously I've spoken about in these other videos, engine bay temperatures get pretty wild in an LS when you're beating on it, so keeping heat under control from some of the items is good. And since we've been using this, we've had a lot of success. I'm going to touch this wooden bench here since it's like a weird thing I do. Anyway, this is our alternator. She's a Amazon special A-Team 250 amp. Probably should link it below and try and get something cool happening with it, but I don't know how to do that, so that's not happening. But that's what it is. Easy to get. I keep 2 spares in stock here, one in the trailer, one in the shop. It's kind of just what works for me, fits my budget, and we ran that whole alternator last season, beat on the car, and this season we actually made some upgrades to current draw, which you'll see. Those videos aren't out yet because I'm still waiting on parts, but once we get them, you'll see what they are, and that is also going to help the alternator. But for now, we're going to go ahead, make some brackets. This is the alternator shield, we've folded up. This is, I'll show you how it fits. So it fits across here. So we don't want it rubbing on any of these cables. So I actually drilled and tapped this hole last time for the other bracket. So we're going to do a similar thing now so we can reuse this hole again. But yeah, this is kind of how it fits. Actually protects it pretty well. Sits on our mount here. So yeah, we're going to make a bracket from here. I may also make some sort of bracket underneath here to stop that. And then two nice supports on that. That'll keep it good. It's off the back of the terminal down here. Terminal's down there, and there's wire where the plug goes. It's not hitting that either. So they're the main things. I've cut it around here, so it's got plenty of clearance. So yeah, should be sweet, man. This thing's gonna do its job. So we'll probably just fold up some. I got some aluminum brackets there, or some aluminum steel. I'll probably honestly won't video them, but I'll bend them up, come up with my little design, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do, and we'll get it bolted in, and we can call that baby done. The alternator's going to be happy with us. So yeah, let's get in, get this done. Alright, so we've been working away here, and this is what we've come up with. This is our little bracket that we've welded up. It's a little nicer than what we had before. Then this is our bottom tab that we've made. It's gonna fit, it actually fits super sweet. Lincoln, you helping, dude? So this goes on, oh, we modified this little piece here as well, so it doesn't go anywhere near the connection at the back. Like that, essentially. I'll bolt this on and show you again, but that lines up perfect. That bottom tab bolts onto this bracket here, and then that's all perfect in there. That's our little piece here for our cable so it doesn't rub. But yeah, it's all come up pretty sick. So alternator heat shield, done. 2 bolts, that's done. They're the same size bolt. So for at the track we only need 1 Allen key. And yeah, so we call that job done. Thanks for watching that one. This next one's probably not going to be able to be finished till we get the cooler. That's kind of in the cooler video, but we'll go through something I kind of just want to show you that's pretty cool for anyone using dry sump stuff. The main thing here is we originally had this was on a completely different mount, mounted to the subframe kind of down here. And obviously we had to move it because of this and our sway bar. Probably more because of the sway bar than anything else, but anyway, it's moved now. But this thing's pretty sick. So essentially it's a primer. So a lot of people with dry sumps actually take their belt off, mess around. This does have a function that you could put a wrench on it and, you know, spin it up and get some pressure. But with this, it's actually got a plastic gear in here. So you don't want to hit it with like an impact gun, but you just want to hit it with like a normal drill. So anyway, this line here actually has a pickup. So my old setup, I got a little bit of work to do here, but my old setup was here. So we do have to make a new line. This line here is the feed line, and honestly, that's going to work pretty sick. So got lucky with that one. But back to this thing. if you spin this up with the drill, it sucks oil through this line here, then pushes it out this side, then it went through the cooler before, then this line goes back to the motor. We got a direct feed in here. So this is our feed into the motor. So the nice thing about the setup that I have on this car is basically you can prime the car every time you start if you wanted to. I honestly don't mess around too much, but if it's a new motor like this motor that's fresh, it has been run before, they ran on the engine dyno, but it's fresh into this car, so we will spin it up. So I mean, that's a fair way away, but basically I just wanted to show you this. We got it all mounted in there. My oil pressure sensor wires already had a hard life, it's not going to reach, so I kind of had it set up like this because I like to measure pressure on the other side of the filter, but it's honestly not going to work in this situation. So I'm going to have to measure oil here out of the pump. So we're going to measure pump pressure now. If it becomes an issue or I get some weird readings, we're basically just setting a baseline for temp and pressure. So it is what it is. We'll work out what we get. So, but that's where this cable reaches pretty nice to go here, like so. So we're going to get like a, I'll do it in this video. We'll get that stuff. We'll get all that stuff plumbed up. Basically, I'm waiting on a cooler, so can't go any further with it. But I'll get that plumbed up and I'll get the feed into the engine. And the other thing that's nice is this is a 1/8 MPT port. You could use this for pressure or whatever, but I'm actually using it for, sorry, you could use it for like a sensor or whatever you wanted to do, but I'm using it for oil feed for my turbos. Not sure, this one's probably not going to be long enough anymore since we moved it from the center, but this one will probably work. It may be a little bit long, but we'll see. Might be able to move it around to make it work, or we'll just have to shorten it up. But not going to touch that today. I'm just going to get the oil filter plumbed up so it's ready to go for the cooler. I may potentially just join the two cooler lines, these two cooler lines. I've probably got a dash 10 like bulkhead fitting somewhere. We might just join them together now, and then we can continue on with everything we want to do. So I do have a little kind of issue. I bought some fittings. My old pump was a dash 16 feed. This is a dash 12, so we've got a dash 12, then a 16 reducer here. But all this sits super close, so that's probably what we're going to touch on this third video, how I'm going to do that. I've got a couple of options. I did contemplate making like this wild contraption up off this, bring it up here, but I think it's not really what I want to do, but this car is not really like a car that we're going to have 6 spare subframes for, or if we have a crash at the track and then we're doing subframe swaps. Like, this car is just competition, but like if it gets damaged that bad that we twist the subframe in half, probably going home that day, to be honest with you. So I'm probably just going to modify the subframe. I have already cut some tabs off here, so we'll go through that. But yeah, that's going to be the third thing we're going to touch on, making that subframe fit. We'll put it up there, I'll show you where it hits, but it's kind of something I was worried about. My original pump actually drove off the back of the balancer and sat right in here, had all its connections back there, which is why we could never have the coil packs there. So the nice thing is we now have our coil packs there, but now we've got our pump way out here and we've got a few things to sort. So just like everything else in this car, you move one thing, you got to move a bunch of other things. Oh, and check how solid this baby is. This thing's come up sick. So alternator bracket, shield, all mounted in, nothing rubbing, got the tab on the bottom, 2 of the same size bolts holding it in. Perfect. So let's work away at this. First things first, I'm going to see if I've got a fitting that I can put in here so I can have the oil pressure and temp sensor in it, and then see if this orientation is going to work. I do. The nice thing when I try plumb, anyone that does this BMRS lines would probably already know, or will already know, most of the lines and fittings you buy aren't actually swivel fittings. These crimp fittings are usually just a straight crimp. So whenever I'm doing it, I try to do like whatever angle I need at one end and then a straight on the other end. So then there's no orientation issues. So if it doesn't make sense, hit down in the comments there and I'll give you a better description. But basically I try to do a straight and then an angle as much as I can. Sometimes it's not possible, but where you can, that's the best way. So let's get in, get these lines done. I'll get it plumbed up, show you where everything goes, and we'll be good. Well, it was pretty successful. This is what we've come up with. We redid this line, this -8 line here. So that's on there. We do have still a bit of movement because we're going to have to start working on this subframe next, but this hose is super flexible. I kind of made it pretty long with that, so if I do need extra length or whatever, there's plenty there to move. We got lucky that this hose fitted that's perfect. I had a -12 male-female union with a 1/8 MPT port, so we're able to relocate our temperature and pressure sensor into here. So that's all buttoned up and finished, so that part's 100% done. Our feed line, we put that in. I drilled and tapped the hole with a P-clamp into the sump. I used our mounting hole here to pick up that one. This originally is done to stop if the alternator belt flies off. This is all steel here, so it can take a bit of a hit, so I still want to keep that. And I also want to keep it like -10 all the way to the motor, so if we have to swap the other motor in, it's -10 as well. I may potentially, you can see this extension here is actually it's an extension to -8, then I've done a -8 to 10. I probably will just order a -10 one, so it's the same as the other car. I could steal it out of that other motor, but I'll probably just order one. They're not expensive, so we'll get one of them on order and then that can go straight in. But for now, I don't have the oil cool, obviously, as I mentioned, so I've just joined these two together, tightened that up. So essentially the oil system is like ready to go. I could put oil in it once the turbos are on and these lines are hooked up. I could put oil in it, prime it, and start the car and run the car. So we're going to leave it at that now so we can continue on. So, alright, so we went to install the subframe yesterday, probably like midday or something, and really nothing wanted to fit. So, which is kind of what I expected, since we, like I said, on this car, every time it was built like with everything just in the right spot. You move one thing, so it changes a bunch of other stuff. So in the common theme of that, we had a bunch of stuff in our way. The first one was our first design, or like how the pump was set up. I actually had to cut all this. So I cut all this old sway bar support out and then welded it back together. So I cut all that out, and then we started working on getting that in where it needed to be. And then these fittings that you see here off the dry sump, they actually went that way. Like they went that way into the pan. So they came off the dry sump and went that way. So they ran straight into the power steering rack. So we ended up doing this to them, so we cut them up. So we ended up cutting one line, then one line turned into two. And then from the third line that was there, it did kind of work, but it wasn't going to work with the others. So now I kind of gone backwards a bit, and I've started with I'm going to use this BMRS line that I really like anyway. This is like looks like Fagola or something like that, metal grade. I really like this one. So, and it's way more flexible. So we're going to do straights out of here now. So these are all going to be straights. The reason why I want to do straights is I can come out straight, go around, and then come up to the pump. I don't have to worry about orientation. The reason why we cut all this out was actually for the feed, but we ended up doing like a 120 degree and then relocated that up to there. So I'll drop the car down so we can see that after I've made these rear ones, but that all worked out sweet, but it took me a long time. Probably honestly worked till midnight last night on the thing, and the rack's finally in. Nothing hits, power steering lines are all in. So we're making progress, but yeah, she was definitely a rough one. Nothing really wanted to work there, but we either had a solution of moving the pump, like completely redesigning their bracket and moving the pump, or just redo the lines. And since I have lines and a crimper here, just made way more sense for me to do that. So yeah, she's a bit of a rough one, but let's get into it today and get this done. Alright, so we're getting through these lines pretty good, to be honest with you. This is what we've come up with. They're all sitting in there. Originally, it went like this one here went to the closest. and then so on. Now we're going the opposite way with them. We're actually completely doing that opposite. So this is the back port, the second one from the back, and then third one from the back. That's how they are. This is what we've come up with. So this actually has come up super sweet. It's going to be nice. These lines are super easy to work with. So she's come along pretty good. Main reason why I got the camera on is I want to just... So these fittings that I use from BMRS are not swivel ones. You can buy these, but they're kind of big and bulky. But these ones that were on there do have this nice swivel fitting in here. So I don't use these, they're big and bulky. But the issue with that is where I've got these straight to a 90, it's not actually that bad. The orientation doesn't matter there because you got the straight. But with this back one, I've used a 90 into another 90. So if I get that orientation like out, you ain't getting that line in. So what you can see here is I've actually marked it. I put a little mark here, a little mark there. So when I crimp it, I just need to make sure those lines are marked. Honestly, I'm pretty lucky I bought a crimper and have a crimper here, or else this would be this would turn a day project probably into a week and a half project, to be honest with you. So super lucky to have that here. Lucky I got a fair few bits laying around. So yeah, we're getting it done. So we should have that done soon. So I'll get that whipped up now, pull those lines out, show you what they look like, and reinstall them. And then I think the dry sump solution is we're done. So alright, this is what we've come up with. So like I was saying, the straight 90 is super nice because it really doesn't matter where this fitting ends up. You can always get the straight on. But for this one here, if I had this like at 90 degrees up this way, there's literally no chance I could twist that hose enough. So one nice thing about the BMRS, look how flexy this thing is. So you can get it in anywhere. That's super sweet. So we've redone these 3 lines. Honestly lucky I got the crimper. Call it good. I'll get this in, and then that means everything's done on the dry sump and we're good to go, baby. So we finally got the subframe in, the dry sump all in. So that's it.